What's up, guys, and welcome back to the GameShow Global Esport Cup. We are eventually going to start this game. You can see that the timer's not running down, but when it does start, it's going to be a two-game set. Got HellRaisers going up against Power Rangers. It kills me that I had to kill that dank music, but you know what? The game started. I didn't even see that the lobby was full because I just wasn't paying attention, but it is full, and we're still having problems. Either way, again, best of two series. I'm Mikelorus, going to be joined by Lyrical Gangster for today. You ready to do this? Third and final day, dude.
You know, it's all comes down to this, the final day of the group stage number 3, and I'm really excited about it. I think that we're going to answer a lot of the questions that have been burning inside of everybody's heads. How are these group stages going to end up working themselves out? HellRaisers, I believe that we saw their first game of this entire tournament yesterday, and they did end up taking that one, I believe, several times over, and they were able to make the wins happen. So doing really good so far. I think that they're probably one of the better well-known names in this tournament, and you know, depending on how the cards fall, how well they end up executing throughout the course of it, I think they have a pretty good chance to move on here.
Yeah, the Power Rangers, they're no slouches either. We don't want to undersell them, but the odds, like at least on D2L, man, HellRaisers have pretty sick odds. I would just YOLO bet on PR because they do have a pretty serious shot, but just I think lots of people underestimating this team, not really sure about how consistent they are, and I think that's fair enough, but for HellRaisers, you definitely get the consistency. You definitely probably are betting on a stronger team, but either way, looks like the game has actually resumed after like however long delays, and we have an actual draft right now. Darkseer, Night Stalker, two of the premier heroes, going to get banned out. Also Bounty Hunter, which I'm pretty sure is not a premier hero, is just a hero that teams aren't quite sure about yet and still probably are a little bit scared of from last patch.
Yeah, you know, he got hit with a decent amount of nerfs, but I feel like the spirit of the hero is still very much the same. You've still got that gold acceleration. Obviously, I think the biggest thing was the vision change, and sort of his ability to help accentuate a high ground push was something that was very solid, and it is still somewhat there to some extent, but not quite as much as it was before. And picks coming fast and furious. It looks like these teams are ready to go as well. It was a Tusk last band out, followed by Doom, Lena, Rubik, and last but not least, Winter Wyvern. So I'm liking so far here, Power Rangers draft so far. You still have the option to put the Lena in the mid lane, but I think that this is also, if they want to run with this, a very strong duo support in a sort of roaming role if they wanted to make that happen.
Yeah, the Lena did get hit a little bit with the nerf, but she still maintains her damage output for the most part, still maintains her flexibility, and that's why as a first pick, you can do a lot worse than a Lena. In fact, Lena, I'd say, still probably on top of the first pick chart. We are going to see this HellRaisers opening, this Doom into Winter Wyvern, a hell of a lot, if those two heroes are not actually banned out, which is a little bit surprising to see them not banned out, honestly, but Doom and Winter Wyvern give you so much extra sustain. Like, with the Scorched Earth, first of all, it's really difficult to deal with. Winter Wyvern has the Embrace, and on a high HP hero like Doom, you get a lot of extra healing. We are going to see a lot of Doom in the future, that is a promise, and it's up to these teams to figure out how to try to cancel him out. With these double healing heroes, usually Ancient Apparition is in consideration. I'm not sure if Power Rangers really want to go down that route. Doesn't seem like it's going to be the worst, but seems like can have a lot of upside should he land that ultimate.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. You mentioned the Ancient Apparition. There's certainly a hero that can nullify a lot of the effects, but again, it's sort of this problem that you end up running into with this combination where he's so powerful in the mid game, but he's also really powerful in the early game before AA is usually going to be able to get sick. So it's really a tough ask for any hero to be able to deal with him early with all of the buffs that he's been able to receive. He can almost consistently make his way on into the jungle, devour a creep, get that extra sort of accelerated gold gain as well, and I really like this Luna pickup here. I feel like with this combo right now, even if Lena is going to be dropped in the mid role, and I feel more and more like she's probably going to be played in that support role, I think that they can still be very aggressive with this Luna pickup.
The bans on Power Rangers are a little bit more interesting for sure. The Huskar up against a maybe core Lena, it's something you want to have happen as Lena. You have the stun, you have the pure damage Laguna Blade. The Warlock is banned out, which is like the first time I've seen him banned out in forever. I guess it's technically possible for HellRaisers to run it, but the only time I've seen Warlock run actually is in a very heavy timing push-based draft, and it looks like Power Rangers are going to look to do that, so weird bans from them. HellRaisers bans looking a lot more normal, at least considering the draft Power Rangers had. But as I said, I really do like this Luna pickup as well. Really opens the door for an offensive tri-lane. Like Luna +2 is usually going to be pretty darn good. And when those two are Rubik and Lena, you get a lot of setup there, a lot of stun duration, which means Luna's going to be hitting quite often. And I don't know who's going to be on the HellRaisers safe lane just yet. Winter Wyvern +2 maybe, but I don't really know if they have enough sustain to actually tank through this aggressive tri-lane.
Well, and the other thing as well that ends up being a really big problem is if you do have that Lunar Blessing up, Lina and Rubik are going to be getting that bonus damage as well. And that is a heck of a lot of range on both of these heroes. Probably one of the not often talked about parts of their kit, but they have an increased range over a lot of the other heroes in the game. And while Winter Wyvern, when you do have that Arctic Burn up, is going to be able to do a lot of damage to other supports and have a longer range, it does also have the downside that you don't always want to have to level that up first. And if you keep it at level 1, it has a 50-second cooldown. So if you end up sort of supplementing and lowering down the cooldown of Arctic Burn, that means that your Splinter Blast isn't going to be able to do as much in the mid game. You're not going to be able to keep heroes off of your towers as effectively or have as big of a damage nuke. And I think all in all, it makes it kind of tough for the Winter Wyvern to be able to trade hits with the Lina Rubik when that Arctic Burn is down. And they opt to go for the Earthshaker now, a little bit more control. And I still think that, again, this is going to end up being a harassment problem for HellRaisers if they do end up running an aggro tri-lane for Power Rangers.
Even though the Shaker is great for disengaging, the ability for Shaker to fight up against these heroes is 0. Like, he cannot do anything. If he walks in close, he'll just die. So that's a real weakness there for HellRaisers. Maybe it's just going to be a Shaker in the off lane. If you know that the enemies are going to go for an offensive tri-lane, try to get in early, and getting an extra bit of farm on the Shaker, getting those extra levels, may just make the difference. I don't know if this is stronger or decisively stronger than like a Clockwork in the off lane for HellRaisers. But it's definitely a possibility. Should he get a fast Blink Dagger, they could just shut down the pushes here for Power Rangers, who, by the way, are going to pick up said Clockwork. So this is the initiating hero. That's going to be most likely their safe lane selection. So most likely expect the Clockwork to go into the bottom lane, Luna, Rubik, Lina up towards the top for right now. It's definitely not set in stone, nowhere close to that. But yeah, Power Rangers definitely looking for an aggressive playstyle, it seems. Clockwork is a hero that kind of fits into that, although given the choice, Power Rangers would have liked to have an offlane hero that typically picks up mech.
Yeah, I feel like something, the Darkseer did get banned out there, so not wanting to have to go up against him. And if you're going to go aggressive, you want to sort of secure those picks in the early stages. So that way you're able to make sure that they don't get banned out if you end up revealing it later. Like Luna, I feel like a very key component of this draft and its ability to go aggressive. So you do end up losing that, definitely. Maybe they opt to pick on up an SF here at some point in time, and you're going to be able to have him pick up the mechanism instead. That seems like it could be pretty strong at this point in time. And as well, Luna, while she... Oh, and they actually end up taking it for themselves, HellRaisers do. And I think that makes a lot of sense as well. If you've got the Earthshaker there, end up going for it. This does limit as well Power Rangers' ability now, and I think that this is a good amount of sustain, but I'm a little bit concerned now that if you do have the Earthshaker that's having to sit mid a little bit against Shadow Fiend, if we see a strong pickup here like a Wind Ranger, Queen of Pain already banned out in the mid lane, or somebody that can dominate that Shadow Fiend, now you're going to end up having a little bit of a weaker safe lane, and maybe the Lina Rubik tri lane could end up doing a lot of work there. So we'll see how they end up going with it.
We have a Dragonite ban, Gyrocopter ban. HellRaisers definitely scared about that pressure, and as far as mid laners that push, DK is at the top of the list. We have seen teams run Venomancer before. This would actually be, if it was still available, a good situation for Warlock, but it's not going to be that Warlock. It's an Ancient Apparition. This is going to force the Lina over towards that mid role, it seems. Going up against SF Shaker is pretty tough for any hero, and Lina really isn't any exception. The weakness, or like the trade-off in that tri-lane is not that substantial. Ancient Apparition still puts out a hell of a lot of damage, so that tri-lane for Power Rangers still should be, for the most part, intact. There's a lot of value here for the Ancient Apparition, being able to connect onto the Winter Wyvern's heal target, as well as that Doom. But for the Power Rangers side, the Doom has... the Doom's ultimate has some pretty darn clear targets. You never really want to do it on the Clockwork unless it's just like an early gank, but if you Doom up a Luna, if you Doom up a Lina, they're going to be super unhappy. Luna, I guess, if she's like 5-6 slot, you can just sit back and right-click away, even though she may be doomed, but Lina just is absolutely useless. So putting Lina in a core role in this game, I guess it has some upside, but it's very vulnerable to this Doombringer.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually, with this PL pick as well, I really like HellRaisers draft. I think they're in a really solid spot. Honestly, PL scares me a little bit more than Gyrocopter at this point in time because it's going to soak up a ton of the damage that Luna's able to do. The real weakness that you see from Luna, while she does have high DPS, is that if you have illusions around, she's just going to be able to not do the amount that she would want otherwise. The illusions are going to soak up all of the glaive bounces. It doesn't work like God, why am I forgetting it? Flat cannon coming out from the Gyrocopter. It only hits a certain number of heroes. And so because of that, they're going to end up running into some problems here potentially as you go into the later game. I think they really need to sort of hit this pushing timing. And you did mention the Doom being able to lay that out on top of the Luna-Lina combo. Either one of them would be a pretty solid pickup. Also, if he ends up able to build a relatively decently timed Aghanim Scepter, that's going to really mitigate Luna's damage as well. So it's a little bit tough. Rubik there maybe going to be able to steal that spell and toss it back at HellRaisers here. But for now, we're just going to have to see how they end up laning it all.
Oh, seems like we're still crashing. I'm still crashing.
Oh no! Disaster strikes. I thought that this was all over.
That wasn't. Oh, it's an update. This better not break everything. Oh well, but yeah, I didn't even get that error message, so who knows? But either way, for the last pick from HellRaisers, what was it? I just like glanced over it.
It was a PL. The PL.
Yeah, right, the PL. So we got the PL there, and you mentioned the glaives as like a kind of, I mean, Phantom Lancer kind of south countering that Luna. It hard counters the Eclipse, man. Like, Eclipse up against Phantom Lancer is just bad times all around for this Luna, and even makes it difficult for like someone like Clockwork to actually gank. You want to be ganking the core. That's pretty much your job. It's almost impossible if you don't have like Rubik or Lina like right next to that Phantom Lancer at the same time.
Yeah, certainly. And they're going to need to be able to find ways to, reveal which one is the correct PL. Maybe, I feel like if you're able to get an Aghanim Scepter Doom stolen, that's pretty freaking huge. And being able to take away that juxtapose as well would be really great against the PL. But for the meantime, I'll do a quick little introduction of the players since I'm still on into this one. We do have 4 HellRaisers currently. Dread's going to be playing that PL. We also have Metron, who's going to be on the Winter Wyvern. Shalsho is going to be playing that Doom. Actually looking to be in the jungle currently, with Aphonia going to be playing the Shadow Fiend, and we also have Goddamn, who's going to be on that Earthshaker. So kind of an interesting pickup. It's going to be a little bit of a greedy draft here by HellRaisers. I'm kind of surprised that they ended up going for that, but there isn't really a clear way for Power Rangers to sort of contest this and make it a big problem.
Yeah, eventually when those heroes are on the Power Ranger side actually do get their levels, they will be more than happy to rotate into the jungle. Try to make the Doom's life a little bit difficult, because Doom typically, when jungling, does drop pretty low in HP. If he actually does end up jungling, he has a lot of tangos and a mango. Screw the jungle, just go back to the lane, right? Okay, so I guess he's just gonna grab that first creep. I mean, Ensnare is nice, but aside from that, just an extra bit of income for him by doing that play. Up towards the top lane for Power Rangers, got AFK on the Clockwork. Over towards mid, Axmo is going to be going toe-to-toe with that Shadow Fiend as the Lina, and he's probably going to have to deal with this Earthshaker soon enough, who does, by the way, have boots. Over towards the bottom lane right now, J4 is on the Ancient Apparition, and then in the safe lane, sitting in farming, is Tron and the Luna, and Bignum going to be helping out as that Rubik. Long range and plus 14 damage. It's difficult for shots though in some cases, but Doom is tanky enough to shrug that one off most of the time. And out towards top lane, they're going to wall off the Clockwork. He does have his cogs. Metrum is out of Arctic Burn, so this Clockwork should be fine, although he does trap Goddamn in with himself, so he can take an extra couple of hits. He's going to be fine. He's really tempting the Shaker right now. He's actually going to try to Clarity up. Instantly gets canceled. So it seems like this Clockwork is just going to walk. That was a kind of a bold Clarity there from this Shaker.
That was actually 2 bold clarities. He burned through both of them.
Really?
Goddamn tossed out the first one, and then Clockwork just turned around and hit him one time, and then afterwards you saw the rocket there as well. So that is a complete and total disaster right now for the Earthshaker. Also going to potentially get cogged in one more time. Clockwork picks up the Bounty Rune. AFK is just doing it right now. He's going to be able to make a lot of this stuff happen. And Aphonia, meanwhile, going to eat a Light Strike Array in the mid lane as well. Always nice to have that one happen. It is going to be a little bit of a chase here by Goddamn, but he doesn't have any way to be able to really disable this Clockwork or slow him down at all. And while you did mention that the Earthshaker does have boots, the movement speed advantage is not incredibly strong. That is going to be a clarity by Metrum trying to come on in. A little bit of a reverse gank now. This is going to be Lina in a little bit of trouble, but the Fissure is not there in time to be able to cut her off, and I think that the range was just a little bit too much of an ask there.
Yeah, the Shaker was like 3 mana off of a Fissure. If he had that at the same time as the Winter Wyvern coming in, probably could have been a kill. Like, it's level 2 raises at this point, so they do a decent amount of damage, and that would have been first blood for HellRaisers. By the way, for this Clockwork, it should be Cheshire Cat, although not tagged up as such. I don't want to give the wrong player the wrong credit, so yeah, you'll just have to bear with us, guys. If he wanted to be called Cheshire Cat, I'm sure he'd be tagged up as such, but seems like it's not going to be the case. Doom being in the off lane seems like that's also not going to be the case. He has full mana, full HP, has Devour available to him, is going to be working with a very high stack in the jungle. He's going to steal perhaps a little bit more of a useful creep. Actually does have an aura, gets a little bit of extra health regen from that, but Doom going up against stacked creeps, actually not the most fun, since he, again, typically does take a lot of damage in that jungle. This is going to free up the bottom lane for Tron, who's up against absolutely no one in this bottom lane. Luna can get a fast ring of Aquila, and then just Doom push this tower really all by herself. She doesn't really need that much help to bring down a structure.
You know, I'm just going to mention right now, the rotations, all of that stuff by HellRaisers supports haven't been able to really bear fruit at this point in time, and because of that, you're seeing this situation where, like you mentioned, complete and total free farm down bot. We haven't seen the stacks come out from Power Rangers, but they are going to try and put a little bit of a push up on this tower. I think that probably, you know, they're maybe you had an opportunity there for them to try and stack on up cramps continuously because there was no Doom in lane, and they didn't even really need to lane control super effectively because he just completely left. The flip side of that is that they're not really losing a lot because Power Rangers aren't getting a lot out of their supports either. The rotations haven't been able to find the kills that they've wanted, and overall, while they did push the Clockwork out of lane temporarily, if you compare that to how much they pushed the Doom out of lane, it's completely and totally a 180.
Yeah, the Doom, though, can very easily recover, even though he has been forced to shuffle between his own jungle and the bottom lane quite a bit. Just with the power of Devour, just the inherent nature of how his ultimate works, once he grabs that level 6, he can make some serious action happen. We already mentioned the upside of being able to Doom up Axmo, being able to Doom up Tron. Like a high-level Luna, yes, she may be dangerous, but over towards mid lane, Axmo can take a Fissure, couple hits, not quite going to do it, returns the Dragon Slave. That was a Fissure double raise, though it does seem like one of those rays missed. Lina, once again, dodging death of the Shadow Fiend, unable to get that kill. Pressuring Axmo, yeah, and it is going to be getting Shadow Fiend a little bit of a CS lead, but as you said, this Shaker's rotation so far, not really making that much of an impact. I mean, not, in the golden experience department. It is pressuring Axmo a hell of a lot, and now Axmo is really freaking scared as well as should be. Shaker is still around the corner, but I don't really know if Axmo's going to walk up. Bignum is going to rotate in. Shadow Fiend's going to see him. Looks like that should just about be it. Maybe they're going to go up towards top. Dread is just happily farming this top lane, and this Clockwork is not too healthy. Is there a dive possible? There's no mana on the Lancer.
Yeah,
Maybe.
we're going to be able to find goddamn here over to the side. The Fissure not going to quite hit. We do also have the Battery Assault coming out, but they're not going to be able to find the Shaker this time around. The TP is canceled as well by the Rubik. Thought about going in there for a second, but ended up thinking a little bit better of it. I'm also going to mention as well that, Axmo, you said, is going to be a little bit a CS lead there as well, but take a look at the levels on the supports. Oh, is going to be able to hit a Fissure one time. There's the slow, and Phantom Lance as well coming on out. Goddamn, taking a little bit of damage. Another Dragon Slave. Oh my god, Laguna Blade immediately onto the Winter Wyvern. I didn't even realize that Lena was 6, but that just completely tears her apart. That's first blood too.
Yeah, still missed that first blood banner, but that's a level 6 hero versus a level 3 hero who was starting out at about half HP, so don't like your odds there if you went to Wyvern. Even if she did get the Embrace, wouldn't have helped her. That's really the cost of not being able to get those kills into Lena. She's still sticking in lane with the bottle, is getting her experience up and getting it up pretty quickly as well. That could have been a kill if Metrum had another 5 seconds before that gank happened. Like Arctic Burn would have been probably enough to keep the Winter Wyvern at arm's length, at the same time doing some pretty significant damage. But again, these timings are just not working out for HellRaisers for whatever reason. Now the bottom lane, with the Ring of Aquila turned on, is going to be shoved pretty hard. Shaker is going to throw a Fissure, but that's only a level 1 spell. It doesn't actually do that much. Metrum's here as well, but he only has level 1 spells, so this defense from HellRaisers is going to be there, but it is an issue that Power Rangers can fight over because they do have the Eclipse. Bignum's not looking too healthy, however, so it looks like they will probably just be more than okay just letting this one go. But still, I don't really think these heroes on the bottom lane for Power Rangers are in any trouble despite being up against 3 heroes. Tron's going to get jumped by Shotshot, but immediately the lift is there, and the Eclipse. It's going to mostly hit creeps, but it will kill off the Doom in the end with an additional beam onto Metrum. He's going to embrace himself. Still taking some damage here, and he should fall in just a little while. He will. It almost seemed like Tron was still doing damage. Was that Chilling Touch still active? It must have been. That's a double kill for this Luna down towards bottom lane. So not only is she getting complete free farm, she's going to collect a couple of heads as well.
Yeah, she's 2-0 to start this, 47 last hits at just over 7 minutes into this game. I mean, you're going to have the Doom rotate back on in again, but I feel like the big problem that you have in this bottom lane here, and just across the map at this point for HellRaisers, is that the Earthshaker's still at level 2. You take a look at all of the heroes right now at the very bottom. I mean, Doom has been able to catch up, as you mentioned, and he is almost at that level 6, which is going to really increase his power curve relative to the rest of the heroes on the map. Does look like Aphonia here might be taking a little bit of trouble. Laguna Blade was up, but not going to be able to find him with the Light Strike Array. But again, it's just the Earthshaker and the Winter Wyvern a little bit under-leveled compared to the other supports, and I think a large majority of the reason for that is because they've been trying to make these rotations happen and shut down the Lina. It just hasn't been able to happen so far.
It's the right moves here from HellRaisers, but at the same time, it's the right responses from the Power Rangers side, at least the right positioning plays from Axmo. The Clockwork, who's been kind of quiet up on the top lane, has now gotten his level 6. He's still getting a decent amount of experience since top lane is pushing. He may just want to return up to that top lane, get a couple of extra levels, maybe max out that battery assault, but he's pretty much active and ready to go at this stage. With level 3 battery assault, you can hookshot in and annihilate a Earthshaker. You can't kill off Winter Wyvern since she'll just fly right over it, but Shadow Fiend also has to be very careful in this mid lane. He is under no pressure. The Shadow Fiend is on top of the net worth chart because of that fact, but sooner or later, the ultimates are going to start flying towards mid. The Ancient Apparition's on level 4, but pretty sure the Clockwork is going to be more than happy to make his rotation mid if he actually does get the opportunity to do so. He is holding on to a smoke, and he is going to teleport in. And, well, he's going to fill up Axmo's bottle. This is going to be a rough time for the Shadow Fiend. He does have an Observer Ward in the area, though that is out of range, is not going to see the clock just yet.
Yeah, they look like they're going to be able to try and make some type of initiation here. Earthshaker and Doom are sitting to the side, and I think that they're going to at least be able to maybe turn this around a little bit. There's the jump in. Aphonia going to end up getting caught there. Laguna Blade is up. Light Strike Array as well. Going to get tossed out. Fissure trying to keep him alive a little bit longer. Cold Embrace, but there's a Dragon Slave to take him out. Do they be able to get a turnaround, though? Exmo dropping a little bit low, as is AFK, trying to run away from this Doom. A couple of tower dives, and actually, I think that they're going to be able to get away from this one scot-free, despite the 4 heroes going to be in the area after the Shadow Fiend dies. So 4-0 start at this point for Power Rangers. They're looking very, very strong, and you mentioned that, you know, there's no slouches in terms of their ability to sort of sustain and have a good game, considering that people were really the odds at least.
Whoa. Oh, okay, everyone go home. We're done here. Can I pause it? Maybe the admin's probably disconnected as well. Oh, okay, it looks like the game is... What is going on? Okay, guys, this is on LAN, so it seems like we just had a little bit of a hiccup there. I don't know if I can pause it. I might be able to. I haven't tried. I don't really want to know, just so I don't, like, misclick anything. But we'll be back in this soon enough. I was looking at the HellRaisers vision the entire time, so I did not know where the Clockwork was, and nor did the HellRaiser side. They have a really good Observer Ward here, like right above the Radiant Tier 1. That HellRaiser's Observer Ward most of the time is going to see someone coming in, but it just didn't. Even though Power Rangers may or may not know about that ward, the Clockwork was still in this like corner of shadows and had a perfect angle on the Shadow Fiend there. So it could have been worse for HellRaiser. I think 2 of those heroes were just already in that mid lane, so they didn't actually have to mass TP in and then waste that additional gold, but still, they lose the Shadow Fiend. This is the most important hero for them to keep alive at this stage. He is doing the most damage and poses the most threat, but we also see the Clockwork posing some serious threat of his own. Now has another hook shot, and this time is spotted by an Observer Ward, so he's not going to get it done, or at least he shouldn't, but they will go ahead for this bottom lane push. Doom, as tanky as he is, doesn't really have any significant threat being only level 5. Goddamn isn't going to help that either. It's the tower to fall. Luna's going to get that much more cash. Power Treads, Aquila, 1,300 gold. Maybe this is a game for Luna. Just go for S and Y and try to just bruise down all these towers.
Certainly, and you know, a little piece of that as well that I'm going to mention here is that Ancient Apparition has gone for 3 points in Ice Vortex just to increase that damage. Oh, they're going to be able to potentially find the Doom here. Tron looking, but isn't actually going to be able to make it. That definitely could have been an Eclipse kill right there if they would have been able to be in the area. But again, just mentioning that extra bonus increased magical damage, such a huge component if you're going to be in that lane with the Luna and have the chance to turn on somebody. And instead of, they're going to spot out the Clockwork. Is this going to end up getting anything? It's looking a little bit scary here in this mid lane at this point.
Yeah, if they dive it, they don't really have that much sustain to actually tank through the tower, but they do have the burst to get in and get out super quickly. Alternatively, Cheshire Cat, if he just runs into Goddamn, he should be able to kill off the Shaker without too much of an issue, but he wants the SF. He's going to miss the hookshot, though. Well played by the Shadow Fiend, just juking a little bit to the left, and that's going to save his ass. But, yeah, as you said, the Ice Vortex, great with Eclipse, but honestly great with Power Rangers in general. Like, most of these heroes are magical damage focused. Tron's gonna get doomed down towards bottom lane. Rotations are coming in from the HellRaisers side, a little bit too slow, however. Tron should be able to get to his allies. At the very worst, be denied, but they lift up shot slow instead. Tron's gonna turn around, takes a Fissure to the dome. He's still gonna survive with the Split Blast. He will fall. They stuck around for way too long, and now the Shadow Fiend's gonna come right, and he got doomed as it was returned by Bignum, but she's doing still a lot of damage. AFK is gonna jump in, get the cogs up. LSA onto Goddamn should be able to get this kill with just a couple more right clicks. That's Shaker down. A whole bunch of weak heroes on Power Rangers side, but HellRaisers without that Shaker, with the Doom still taking on Shadow Fiend, are gonna be a little bit scared about advancing forward, especially in a 2v4 scenario. Dread took the tower in the meantime. But the Luna did go down there. For HellRaisers, they only lose their Shaker, even though that was a great steal by the Rubik, and he still has it for the future. For HellRaisers, that was a massive trade. They get a tower and Luna.
Yeah, that was really great. Now they're also going to be able to take on out this stack, and that was something I was going to mention before this fight ended up breaking out, is that across the board we haven't really been seeing HellRaisers stack on up camp significantly for the Shadow Fiend. He moved on into the jungle and was able to take out the medium camp right over here to the side, but it wasn't stacked up at all, and you saw as well that the Clockwork was coming to try and take it out as well, be able to find some type of initiation onto him, and now Dread moving over for the Ancients. This is pretty key here. He's going to be able to get a little bit of an economic advantage. They are going to be able to find Metrum yet again. One more right click should be enough. Lena ends up getting the kill. So a little bit of back and forth here. Winter Wyvern getting caught out in her own jungle. It's looking like HellRaisers are in a pretty good spot as long as they don't keep getting these few pickoffs here from time to time.
I do like the Shadow Blade pickup on Lena, and that's not a sentence I usually say. In this type of game, they have, again, a lot of magical burst damage. They have a decent amount of setup with the Clockwork, with the lift up from the Rubik. So Lena, though usually she's going to go for that Yule Scepter, doesn't really need to in this game. She is just going to hunt down those supports, and with her massive burst damage, just get those single pickoffs. Honestly, it doesn't really matter who at this stage. As long as she gets the kill, it opens the door for the push. The push hasn't been so severe just yet, but they're going to hookshot in onto Shot, so catch him in the cogs, even though he was sitting in the creep wave. Beautifully played by the Clockwork. He's going to drop the Doom, no questions asked. Bignum. He's going to steal the kill with the Fade Bolt, so I guess well played Rubik there, but that was a very difficult cog to actually put up, but Clockwork somehow managing to slip those in between the creeps and Doom, and focused battery assault damage, definitely enough there. In the meantime, for Power Rangers, they don't lose anything. What they do gain, however, is the Ancient Apparition closing closer and closer to level 6. With the Luna leveling up as well, the push is eventually going to come into the HellRaisers base, and as farmed as Phantom Lancer is right now, I still don't think he's ready to fight, at least not comfortably. He's gone for Vlad's Yasha.
Yeah, he is going to try and go for that sort of, instead farmy type of build, be able to get from creep camp a little bit quicker, sustain as well as he right-clicks on these creeps. It does look like they're going to have a smoke on up here and try and make something happen, potentially in the mid lane, or seeing if they can find somebody in the jungle. But spoiler alert, nobody's there. They're all in the mid lane ready to fight this one. And I think that with the Clockwork sitting nearby as well, now that he's TPing on in, and he does have hookshot back up in a second here, he can counter-initiate really, really effectively. And if HellRaisers move into this a little bit too much, they might be in a really big problem. There's the Luna, gonna end up getting Winter's Cursed up one more time. Again, AA Blast is gonna end up going out. It's not going to end up connecting onto anybody though. Eclipse is doing a heck of a lot of damage. Slasho dropping really low as well. He was able to take out the peel almost at the beginning of this fight, and this is looking really bad for HellRaisers now. But Aphonia here as well, trying to turn it back around. Clockwork ends up falling. I didn't think that they were gonna be able to make this much happen, considering the peel died right at the start of this fight.
And they took a full-on Eclipse to the face. Luna was able to slip up to the north. That was just Power Rangers in a good position. They were on the high ground above the dire tier 1 tower, and for HellRaisers, they did not know about that. If you're going in for that gank, you don't expect reinforcements to come from the top. Like, that's never supposed to happen. If anywhere, they come from the Radiant tier 1, but they came from a really weird angle, yet HellRaisers still, just with the power of their heroes, just brute force their way through. Now they're going to run to Axe Mode. You throw this onto Metrum, but gets hit with the Fissure. A couple of hits from the Shadow Fiend. Raise long range, gonna get the kill. The Dire's Courier is going to drop somehow. How the hell did the Dire Courier die over there? I don't.
So what happened there, I'll mention it real quickly. Lena Shadowbladed in and then went for the Courier Snipe with 3 supports around, and I was really hoping, like, you see how low Metrum is right now. She had vision on him right there. There was certainly an opportunity that she could have gone for the Light Strike Array. It was a really big ask there to try and get the Courier Snipe and then get away, but didn't quite end up working out. No big problem, though. Lena still very, very farmed up, but you would love to be able to take that one back, I think.
I think another problem that went there for Power Ranger, at least in that last fight, something that didn't exactly go their way, was the fact that the Ancient Apparition saw everyone coming and usually should be able to land an Ice Blast on someone, but the only person who was actually in the circle by the time the Ice Blast was going to actually connect was the Phantom Lancer, and he doppelganged straight out of it because he saw it coming. So actually no one got hit with that Ancient Apparition ultimate. Now they're going to run to Bignum, who's going to walk up the high ground, immediately gets doomed. Feels bad, man. This is a super dead Rubik. It's a matter of time. Shaker even expending some extra mana to get that kill. But he has Arcane Boots, no big deal. For Power Rangers, they're dropping a couple kills here and there, and their pushing still really hasn't yet gone off the ground right now. Axmo's still hunting with the Shadow Blade, and yeah, that's what you should be doing as this Lina in this build especially, and in this draft. But these towers in the mid lane and top lane, they're still standing, and this Luna, as powerful as she is in the late game, is still very hard countered by the Doom, and is gonna have to compete with the Phantom Lancer in that #1 net worth slot. Dread has died once. That sucks for him, but he's still farming up a Storm.
Yeah, and they're immediately going to rotate on down. 5 heroes here for this kill, and I think that they're going to be able to find her in the jungle here. No help in sight for this one. She is just going to go straight the heck down. Does miss one raise. Fissure ends up connecting there as well, but she's going to end up getting killed. And you sort of mentioned, like, I feel like they're a bit on a timer at this point. They need to really try and group together and make something happen. Maybe they don't quite feel comfortable with that, and while the Shadow Blade up on the Lina is going to mean that she's hopefully going to be able to find some more of these kills here, and, you know, they have the AA Blast as well, which can come in from global range also. Like, it doesn't help a ton with the team fight, and with what I feel like needs to be the focus of Power Rangers draft here, which is trying to push down these towers. So a little bit tough. I will also mention that I was really enjoying Bignum's play on this Rubik so far. He was 2-0-3 before he ended up sort of casually getting killed as he moved on into the jungle there, and has been able to farm himself up a Tranquil Boots as well as an Urn. So he's getting this farm, and I think that this is going to be a key hero for Power Rangers if they really want to sort of get this into the late game. I think that they really need to get the Rubik farmed up.
And J4 as well has gotten ahead of Midas. Not the fastest Midas I've ever seen on the Ancient Apparition, but he's level 8, and that's going to skyrocket in just a little bit. The Clockwork also closing onto his Blade Mail. These like non-core heroes for Power Rangers in a very good position right now, but as a draft, as far as their effectiveness as a team, it really doesn't matter too much about these like levels and items on these heroes unless they're also getting the structures to back it up. They are starting right now so far making a 2-for-1 tower trade, but for HellRaisers, they're okay making these trades. They know that if they get goddamn his Blink Dagger somehow, he's actually not too far away from it, but if they do that, then the door for Power Rangers, although not completely closed, is going to be a lot more difficult to open. The Shaker is only 800 gold away from that Blink Dagger, and that will stop the pushes from Power Rangers almost cold. BKB on the Shadow Fiend certainly doesn't hurt either, as he just is going to walk in, ignore the Eclipse, and for right now, the Lina's ultimate is not agging him, so it doesn't do much. In fact, anything up against the BKB target. However, Axmo's going to find Metro, land an LSA, Laguna Blade, that's going to kill off the Wyvern. That's one dead hero. Can Power Rangers go for more here? Their Luna's still sticking around. Bottom lane, it's the Clockwork. I think they need their Clockwork, though. If they're going to get into a large-scale fight, they need that hook shot.
Yeah, the only potential chance is if they end up being able to find somebody again as they just sort of wander through the jungle, and you don't expect that to happen. Well, Aphonia here is actually going to rotate on through. It's a little bit scary now. Rubik is going to be able to free the first one that spots him out. There's the A Blast, a really nice Observer Ward. BKB is popped. Going to try and chase after Bignum yet again. He's dealing a good amount of damage in the right click, but there's the TP away, and Bignum should be able to make his way out of here. Meanwhile, up top, we are also going to see Tron getting chased away. Another TP, and they have no problem being able to walk away from this one. Axmo as well is just going to head the heck on out of here. Also worth noting that the Lina ended up picking up the Boots of Travel, so very much going for this ganking style. If you see somebody farming a lane now on this Lina, she's going to be able to TP to the creep wave behind it, and then just Shadow Blade on in and Light Strike Array, Laguna Blade, Dragon Slave somebody down like it's not anything. And I think that this is kind of a cool little build, but again, you have to think about how does this end up translating into their pushing down the strategy before the PL starts to get big, and maybe that's going to come by virtue of being able to take a relatively quick Roche.
Or just get the pick off and team up with the Clockwork a lot. Like, he's still working with a hook shot, mind you. We haven't seen a really great one in a little bit of time, but he's been landing them for the most part. J4 also has that blast. It's almost level 2 and is eventually going to be agging him because he has the Midas. With this Axmo build, he's able to be everywhere, get those kills, especially on the shots though. He's going to take an LSA. Here comes the ice. He's getting with hook shot as well, and the Luna Blade, that's a dead Doom. That's the pick-off style that Power Rangers are going to look for. Maybe a little bit more on a global scale, like a little bit more, heroes thinking they're safe, a little bit closer to the Dire base, but they got the kill, and that's really what's important. Doom is closing in on his blink, but is not going to have that for a little bit longer. The problem is for Power Rangers, there's no real follow-up to that kill. They just get it and then get out, but we can see how effective it is for them to jump in, get these kills, and then just walk away. And Lina's Laguna Blade has a pretty low cooldown. The resources that Power Rangers use for that are all very low cooldown spells.
Yeah, they're going to be ready to be right back up again in a second here. And kind of a cool little strategy. It does look like Lena is going to be going for that Staff of Wizardry next. I kind of feel like this would be really solid to pick up that Aghanim Scepter just to, be able to get the extra bit of damage that she needs out of that. And I think that that would probably be the pickup, but this also could be Yule's. Do you have any thoughts on which one you kind of like a little bit more?
I'm not really sure if this is the time for Yules. We can already see Axmo teaming up with the allies and just obliterating heroes. You gotta be able to cut through the Shadow Fiend's BKB. I guess like they did drop it to 9 seconds, so they keep doing that, they'll be happy, but Yule's Scepter, I think that time has passed until someone gets an item that demands the answer. Jump in, Echo Slam onto Axmo. Fissure also onto J4 right now. That's a dead Lina, though invisible she may be. Sentry's on the deck. They're gonna get the curse onto J4. Enchant Totem stolen by Big. Not a good one. Eclipse gonna get dropped onto Goddamn. That will not kill him off. In fact, it will barely do any damage at all. Now the Doom onto Tron. They will get a really good hook shot in, which will wall everyone off with the cogs, but now AFK rather, stuck in his own cogs, can't move because of the fissure, but at the same token, HellRaisers can't get in there because of the fissure and cogs. That's 2 kills, but again, for Power Rangers, they should be considering themselves pretty lucky if they don't lose their Luna and their Clockwork there. That could have been a lot worse, but still, HellRaisers now in maybe a position to go for Roshan. They'll bottle up with the new rune, and I think they do have enough power here.
Yeah, they've got the, level 2 right now in Presence of the Dark Lord. You don't have any medallions so far out of them, but still, you've got a ton of damage. You're going to be able to run on in there. PL not the best in terms of a Roche Taker. Those illusions obviously aren't going to be able to do anything to him, but Doom does have a good amount of regeneration and a great ability to tank that on out. I think that probably the other thing that ended up happening in that fight, like, as soon as you end up getting that initiation from the Earthshaker, and this was, I believe, the Blink reveal, you just have to back out. Ancient Apparition, I don't think that he was going to be able to make his way away, and they used the Winter's Curse on him, so I think that that was just about as best that you could hope for out of Power Rangers in terms of the way that that fight ended up initiating out, and even still, they were able to get a pretty clean-ish disengage. They didn't end up losing anything more than they had to, so I kind of feel good at this point if I'm Power Rangers based off of how that ended up going. It is also a Blade Mail up on Clockwork, and it is a little bit unfortunate that we already have the BKB up on the Shadow Fiend, but still, this is going to be somewhat effective against the PL for a little while, also against the Doom, but it's a little bit tough. I think that right now there isn't that huge nuke type hero that is going to be able to take a ton of damage from that Blade Mail out of the Clockwork right now.
Yeah, as long as HellRaisers watch their fire, they should be fine. They have a lineup that has pretty decent control over its tools. Shadow Fiend's Requiem probably being the only exception, but just don't cast Requiem in your Clockwork, or cancel it if you see the Blade Mail if it's not that hard. Or have BKB up. He has definitely many ways of playing around it. The Power Ranger side, I mean, even though that fight was, again, not as bad as it could have been, and they're not going to feel terrible about it, they're still, like, as a draft, not where they should be. They may catch Dread here. Axmo has a big kill opening on his hands if he lands this LSA, but I think he's going to need to actually land the right click first. This Lina, though, she does do a lot of damage. Dread has gone for a super tanky build, like S and Y, a second Ogre Club in his inventory, plus sitting at Strength Treads. This is a very safe Phantom Lancer, and for HellRaisers, I do like this play. They have a Shadow Fiend, they have a Lancer. Up against Power Rangers draft, the late game is clearly in HellRaisers' favor, so just get Dread to that late game. Make sure he's able to farm.
Yeah, and you already saw there a couple of different reveals of the Lina with the Shadow Blade. You knew that this is going to be the item that she has. You don't necessarily want to have to be in danger of losing your safe lane carry. So I think that this is a really great pickup. Normally, sometimes at this point in time, you would see the Boots of Travel picked up by the PL, and I really, like you said, like the treads. On the flip side, Axmo does end up picking up the Yule Scepter, and we talked about this a little bit and the potential for going for it. I do wonder at this point, had the Lina potentially instead gone for Ags, obviously it wouldn't be done at this point in time, but maybe by the time she ends up getting that level 16, she's going to be able to have that pure damage nuke coming out, being able to pierce the BKB, and while the Shadow Fiend does have the BKB up himself, I guess he picks up Sanjin Yasha as well. I was going to say he isn't that tanky, but he really is. Everybody on this team is relatively tanky at this point.
And this Metrum's pickup of Glimmer Cape is going to be a lot more effective given Lina's item selection. If you go for the Aghanim Scepter, you don't care about Glimmer Cape, but just being able to Glimmer whoever's going to take the Yule Scepter and LSA combo means that you really can't kill them. Like, Power Rangers don't have enough physical damage to just brute force down that hero. Maybe if it's like Shaker and if he takes a nuke beforehand, but Glimmer Cape with the Embrace is going to be really hard for them to deal with. Goddamn's actually going to see everyone. Lands a Fissure. Blink Echo Slam is there. Curse onto Tron. They're going to get the Ice Blast. We're going to force everyone away, but Tron pops a BKB and just going to start man fighting. Eclipse is going to drop mostly onto Metrum. He'll drop him down in an instant. Glimmer Cape or not, Bignum's going to steal the Requiem, do a lot of damage to Satchel, and Goddamn stuck in the corner. Here comes AFK. Going to catch Cog onto 2, but immediately he's going to get annihilated. But with the Laguna Blade, the Lina will take down that Shadow Fiend. Axmo now trying to book it versus the Phantom Lancer, who's the only one standing right now. He takes down the Lina. And now it's just J4 versus Dread, and it looks like everyone will back off. The Rubik did the Death Requiem, and I think he did pop the Shaker with that. That's a 4-for-4 exchange, but after all is said and done, you just look at the Survivor. That determines who wins, and the Phantom Lancer survived, so it's HellRaisers to win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was pretty close. 4 heroes for 4 heroes, not bad. And on top of that as well, we did see before the fight, I think that, you know, HellRaisers were ahead as well. So being able to maybe get a little bit of a comeback mechanic in that area as well, I think there was only about a 400 gold swing into their favor. I don't think I've ever seen 4 Requiems go off, unless it's like same hero all mid or something like that. But pretty a nice little dynamic there as well that you end up seeing Rubik pop at the end of that also. And he has been able to build into these survivability items. We talk about tankability. An Urn Charge is an Urn rather is a nice way to be able to get that with the extra bit of strength that you have out of him. Also does have that magic wand, and if he doesn't end up stealing those spells, if he doesn't end up surviving throughout the course of that team fight, I don't think that Power Rangers end up with anything there. I think that they really end up in a much worse situation. So the extra AoE damage coming back out, throwing HellRaiser's own spells at themselves is really nice. Oh, Shadow Blade away by Axmo, and he's going to be able to get away from this one despite the fissure coming out at the end there.
Well, that could have been a lot worse for Axmo, but again, like, it's Power Rangers to barely skate out of these situations. They're taking, for the most part, even trades, or like trades that they aren't like vastly getting demolished in. That's just not good enough for their draft. The BKB is up, and Axmo's going to catch another Fissure. I don't think there's an angle here for them to get in. There's an angle, however, for Lina to get out. Doesn't look like she should be able to get out. She's going to cancel Goddamn's TP. Laguna Blade, that's not lethal just yet. Axmo will back off. And Goddamn will blink out of there. Everyone's going to be okay, but for Power Rangers, taking these kind of even-ish fights, slightly disadvantageous fights, that's not in a position where they should be right now. Most of their damage is magical, as I said before, and though Luna is still getting a decent amount of farm, she's still mostly an Eclipse and Beam. Her right-click damage, at least as far as dueling a Phantom Lancer and a Doom, is not going to be relevant until she grabs something like a Butterfly. But for the HellRaiser side, they have a BKB on their Phantom Lancer and a BKB on their Shadow Fiend, so magic damage be damned, you're not going to be doing that much. They're going to smoke up, reveal, or they're going to lose one smoke onto Goddamn, or onto J4 rather, as Goddamn does reveal it. However, I don't think the Shaker saw that, so they're still going to make their rotation down towards bottom lane, where Doom is going to smell them coming. Looks like it's HellRaisers to also prep for the smoke at the exact same time. Not really at the exact same time. They're spotted by the flare. A little bit awkward, but Power Rangers, they jump in at this angle. With the clockwork, yeah, he'll be able to get in there, but no one else will be able to effectively follow up, because they'll all be like, you know, rounding a corner, and that's never really where you want to be, because so many angles to counter initiate there for HellRaisers.
Yeah, and I think they're going to be able to spot this out at least, and maybe find a jump here with this Observer Ward placed down up on the high ground. It makes all the difference in the world. All of a sudden, if you're a Power Rangers right now, you've got the vision advantage, and it's really hard to overstate how big this is. And you do see them trying to rotate around a little bit now. I think that they're going to disengage. Axmo is kind of hanging out to see if he can find a pickoff. They might try and jump around the other side here and find Dread, but again, this is not necessarily a bait, but at least they're keeping him alive, and they know that he's in the area. So they do de-ward that other one up top. Everybody kind of knows the situation in terms of where everybody was, and so far it's looking like they're just going to be content to split on out and farm a little bit more, and not really going to be able to find anybody at this point in time. I'm also going to mention this, the 4-staff pickup by the Clockwork I think is huge, because you saw in the other big team fight that ended up occurring over to the side, he got caught on in there with the Shadow Fiend and I believe one other hero, I'm not sure who exactly it was, the Phantom Lancer, and if you're in the middle of that, it's just like a pain train, whatever the heck it is you want to call it. It's so dangerous to be in the middle of all that. So the ability to catch these heroes, throw them inside this sort of limited area, get yourself out of it afterwards, and then have the big AoE stuns and damage coming out in the form of the Light Strike Array or the Dragon Slave or even Fade Bolt even. It's pretty good for him to be able to have that type of initiation and then escapability as well.
The Shadow Fiend does have his Blink, and the Phantom Lancer does have his Doppelganger, but if you're forcing them to use that or BKB, that's a win for the Clockwork. You're essentially 2-for-1ing yourself in exchange, or yourself for 1 to get 2 of the enemies, and if you could do that as any hero, usually you're going to be okay with it, unless you're, you know, very far behind and you're a carry. Bottom lane, Tron almost got jumped by an Echo Slam. I think they were just lacking the vision, but wherever HellRaisers move right now, they are being spotted. The flares are flying, and they're landing here from AFK, but though they do see where the HellRaisers are, can they actually pick a fight here? Jungle is a decent spot for them to fight, assuming the camps, or they're not near any creep camps, so the Luna gets full effect of the Eclipse, and she is going to go for said Butterfly. Now they're looking at mid lane perhaps, but there's just so many heroes here. Dragonslave is going to reveal Lina's positioning. Dread's going to jump up to the high ground and will be just fine. HellRaisers have this map on lockdown, it looks like. Power Rangers, they're scared about moving out, as well they should be at this stage in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely really scary. The thing I will mention about this, though, right now is I didn't even realize that this was going on. Shaushko on the Doom doesn't even have a Blink Dagger at this point. He went straight for Phase Boots into Shiva's Guard and Drums, so he's going to have a lot of movement speed, but is it going to actually be enough to be able to make something happen? Goddamn is off to the side trying to find an angle, but is going to end up getting spotted out if he's not careful. He's a little bit separated from the rest of the team. They are also going to be able to find Metron off to the side. He's Glimmer Caping, trying to stay alive as long as possible. They spot him out. He's in a little bit of trouble now. There's the Lucid Beam, Light Strike Array, as well as the Dragon Slave, and he is going to end up falling. So nice little pickup there, going to be able to get a little bit of extra bonus intel and damage out. And you know, HellRaisers, they were posturing and being able to control the map a little bit, but overstayed their welcome slightly on that Winter Wyvern.
That gave J4 just enough gold to pick up his Aghanim Scepter. He probably would have had it soon anyway, but man, that definitely doesn't hurt. So he's going to have that upgraded level 2 Ancient Apparition Ultimate, and here's where the counter comes into play. Doom having gone for Shiva's Guard is a really interesting choice, and I think that's just not the right item in this situation. Everyone else in HellRaisers is going for BKB. You need that magic resistance if you're going to be Doom in this game. Shiva's Guard, at least for the minus, or for the armor, for the minus attack speed, essentially does nothing in this game. It's going to slow down the Luna somewhat, make everyone else's right clicks ineffectual, but they weren't relying on their right clicks anyway, so I don't think this Shiva's Guard is the right choice. If he did go for a BKB, he'd be able to at least not take the damage over time effect from the Ice Blast, which is now going to hurt like hell. So, yeah, I'm not convinced that this Shiva's Guard was correct here for Doom. Blink Dagger, any health item, like armor, is not what you need, at least not yet. They already have a Vlad, and that should, for the most part, cover their armor needs for this game.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that it's a little bit of, I guess, a luxury pickup to some extent. I do think that Shiva's is pretty good on Doom pretty consistently, but usually, like you mentioned, you want to get something else, either a Blink Dagger or a BKB or something else to keep him alive a little bit longer, have the ability to initiate, so that way you don't need to stand as far forward. Another thing that I'm going to mention here is that PL has gone for, as we've talked about, the Sanjin Yasha. He does have the BKB and the Diffusal Blade as well as Vlad's, but this is going to mean you're starting to see Luna pick up a couple of bigger items, or at least go for them, and it should be able to pick them up relatively soon. She's got the Talisman of Evasion, does also have the Yasha and BKB, and while the drums are still sitting in her inventory, I feel like the Sanjin Yasha might become a little bit of a crutch later on in the game for Dread. He's going to need to disassemble them eventually, and that might end up meaning that the Sanj is just going to have to sit around once he ends up going for that Manta eventually. And the more and more that this game goes on, while I think that PL is a pretty significant counter to Luna in terms of his ability to tank through those glaives, it is also going to be probably a bit of a timing attack here, where Luna's going to be able to have a couple of other bigger items that maybe the PL doesn't because he's 2,000 gold behind.
It's a very narrow timing, but if they take it, that'll be huge. However, Tron's going to get jumped. Blink Echo Slam immediately. The Shadow Fiend messes up and blinks backwards. They do get the Doom on Tron. They may still get this kill, but they lose their Shaker. Now AFK going to jump right in. Trap Chotch, though. Your Shiva's Guard isn't really helping you right now, man. He's going to get embraced. He's going to survive for a little while longer. Here comes Dread. Throws a Lance, and now he's going to deploy all of the illusions. The Luna once again survives. However, the Clockwork is not going to, nor is Bignum, I don't think. They're both slow to a crawl. The Glimmer's going to be used on the Clockwork. However, it is the Rubik to take a fall. That's a 2-for-1 exchange, and a massive mistake there from the Shadow Fiend. Got really eager, double tapped to the Blink Dagger, and ended up on the bottom end of the cliff with his BKB pop. Still, they take down the Rubik, they take down a tower, but oh, they could have annihilated the Luna there and gotten so much more.
Yeah, that's so frustrating to have to go against. And you know, it's just a simple little mistake there that ends up happening, and unfortunately ends up costing them that time at least. And you take a look at the trades, like you mentioned, you end up losing a support for essentially a support and the safe or the off-lane hero. So really, really not what you want to have happen. And this is also going to allow Luna to be able to build on into that next item here. Almost has enough now for the Butterfly, and that's going to be so big in terms of the ability to deal with this PL. You see the Diffusal Blade up, you see the Sanjin Yasha. PL doesn't want to have to build it into an MKB. It's just an item that this hero does not want to get at all. And honestly, Shadow Fiend, while he does occasionally get that item as well, he's not the tankiest in the world right now. He does have BKB, he does have Sanjanyasha, he does have Treads, but the Blink Dagger, and if he ends up going for an MKB, might leave him a little bit fragile. Oh, jumping on in again, not quite going to be able to hit that one. That is a Glimmer Cape and a jump away by the Shaker this time around, and is going to be able to make his way out of there, but it's looking a little bit scary now for HellRaisers based upon the itemization that I feel like Power Rangers have been doing and excelling at.
Still farming up very quickly on this Phantom Lancer, though. As you said, he does have a couple of dead items or dead-ish items in his inventory. If he keeps up this farming speed, he'll rapidly outpace the Luna and just get through that small weakness when the SNY is kind of run its course. He could probably replace that with Manta Scotty or something like that, depending on really what he wants to do. But the rest of the HellRaisers, they're feeling pretty comfortable about their position, even without having a Blink Echo Slam available for another 15 seconds. They have the gem, so they're just going to make a push in, try to clear out as much detection or vision that Power Rangers have, and then back off. It should be that play, I think. The Phantom Lancer has Vlad's and has enough damage probably to go for Roshan along with this Shadow Fiend, probably without any help either, so maybe for HellRaisers they're just going to make Power Rangers blind and then try to sneak one of those objectives. For Power Rangers, they're pretty much off the pushing train completely right now. It's time to itemize for late game, and that's where the Hand of Midas and H Apparition is going to come into play. They need a lot of items on their Luna, but still they need the Luna, more importantly, to not get doomed.
Well, and yeah, it's definitely the key component there, and she is only 700 gold behind the PL right now, so while the PL is farming really quickly, and he's going to be able to continue to do that now that he's, you know, sort of consistently having map control, it's a little bit good. Oh, nice deny there as well. Always nice to see that one played out as well. I think that the other thing here is, what do you think about Lena being able to pick on up a Silver Edge at some point in this game? Do you think that that's worth it, or with BKBs up, does it not really matter anymore?
Just looking at HellRaiser's side, being able to break them doesn't do a ton. Obviously, the Sanj just being there is nice. If anyone has a Silver Edge, it's definitely a nice item to have.
It breaks Juxtapose, right?
I do think it does. I don't know. There's some like weird situations with breaking. Still kind of a new mechanic, but
right, yeah.
It should take out that. Takes out like Presence of the Dark Lord. It's like whatever, you know.
Yeah,
doesn't do anything
definitely.
to Shock Slow, doesn't do anything to Shaker, nor Winter Wyvern, except for like the damage output. But again, the damage output is kind of a minor benefit. She's working with a lot of burst right now. She can go into a DPS role since they are thinking it's going to go late. They're going to find Metrum, however, with the cogs. They'll bump him out of the ice effect. He has a Glimmer. He does not have Arctic Burn, however, so escaping the situation, probably a little bit difficult. He's going to drop the curse onto AFK. Now here comes Shotshell. He's going to deploy the Shivas. AFK's going to take a lot of damage from Axe with double damage. Here comes the Blink, and the Requiem's going to kill up the Clockwork immediately. Tron, however, deploying the Eclipse is going to get the Doom and Winter Wyvern both. It's Dread, though, in the back line, who's tearing everyone up. It's leading in a lot of trouble. Afternoon is going to run out of his BKB. And, well, the Fissure is going to save him from Tron for a little while longer. They need the Phantom Lancer to get in here, and he finally will. Luna now has to try to book it. However, the Purge is not going to let her escape. The Lancers are going to be thrown, and Luna should be chased down for a kill. At the same time, Bignum dueling up against Goddamn. I don't think he actually survived this one. Just one more Fissure. Not quite going to do it. They know where he is with the Enchant Totem. They'll make it a full 5-man wipe. And for HellRaisers, the fact that Dread survives is just the cherry on the cake. He's going to try to go for Roshan by himself. A little help from Shaker, but that's a 5-for-3 trade and a massive exchange for HellRaisers.
Yeah, it goes to show the power of this PL in terms of his ability to soak that on up. I will mention that, you know, you take a look at how that fight ended up progressing. It was just about, in terms of kind of initiations, it was a little bit clunky. You did end up seeing the Winter Wyvern not get taken down immediately. She was able to get the Winter's Curse off on top of the Clockwork, but that didn't really do a ton because he wasn't really getting hit by anybody at the same time. And then afterwards, the Eclipse was able to take down the Doom before he was able to cast the spell, which is really huge also. But then after that, after they were able to sort of isolate away the PL from the rest of the herd, they weren't able to take him down because the right click from the Luna just doesn't have enough damage to burst through those illusions quickly enough, and you don't really have the ability to. She does a good amount of damage, but the glaives just get soaked on up there, and if you don't know what the true and the real PL is, he burns through your mana with the Fusel Blade. Oh, that's going to be a really nice jump in. That's going to be an Aegis Steal now by Clockwork, able to get that one. Very nicely done. Forced after the high ground as well. He's going to be able to at least have a little bit of escapability here, potentially. Axmo is down on the low ground, does have Laguna Blade as well as Light Strike Ray, but doesn't want to jump on in here. A little bit too scary this time around, so they deny out the Aegis, but at the cost of Clockwork's life, I still think that's worth it every time.
Yeah, if he has buyback, it's definitely worth it. However, he does not. So this is still a 50-second window where HellRaisers, should they push, are going to be almost decisively stronger than the Power Ranger side. Metrum, though, going to run to Axmo. Actually, no, they're both invisible, so they'll just walk right past each other. Never mind, but That's a big play for the Clockwork to be making. As you said, it is going to be a little problematic for them for the next 30 seconds, but it doesn't seem like that's actually going to be a threat. Should HellRaisers have grabbed that Aegis, and it looked like most of the time they should have in that situation, you would bet that they'd be knocking on the high ground right now. Instead, they're going to settle for the tier 2. They'll definitely kill off that one, but the high ground offense, if they really want to go for it, is going to be so much weaker. A double life rather, on this Phantom Lancer could have almost guaranteed them a set of Raxes. Instead, they're right back on the farming plan. That's not to say that's a bad thing for HellRaisers. Still, they're farming very rapidly, and this Phantom Lancer is working with 5,000 gold, which is not a bad sum. Really, they would have liked to just end the game while they know that they have a little bit more power right now, but they're going to have to, toss it up into the air once again and hope that the Ancient Apparition doesn't land like a 5-man Ice Blast in the next team fight.
Yeah, it's the big thing, and I think that they should probably be okay with that. The Ice Blasts have been solid, but they've also been able to somewhat spread their heroes apart, dodge them when they've really been a big problem, and I think that, HellRaisers has consistently been playing this at a really high level. We haven't seen a ton of kills this game, but when they have had the team fights, I feel like HellRaisers have been able to execute, isolate the targets that they've needed to, and except for that last one where they were able to get initiated on by the Clockwork, there wasn't really a situation where I felt like Power Rangers have been able to completely and totally outplay them. So we are going to see a little bit of a push down here on the bot lane. Invisibility Rune picked up by the Clockwork as well is going to allow that extra little bit of initiation to come on out. He's probably going to be working next on the Aghanim Scepter, but I don't think that they can really push any further right now. You've got the PL moving on up towards the high ground. He's going to spawn the Doppelganger illusions and just chip away at this tower consistently. And while the illusions don't stick around for all that long, it's still something really difficult to go against. Oh, goddamn, right in the middle of it. Might just opt to hit away here. That's actually really, really bold by him. He's going to end up getting taken out here pretty quickly. Chilling Touch out as well. That's going to be a Clockwork hook on in. And Earthshaker goes down.
Why was he there?
I don't know.
Blink Echo in the enemy base, I guess they don't expect it. Shot's gonna take Laguna Blade down towards the bottom lane. You'll set up from Axmo just to make his retreat, but here comes Bignum. He had to lift up Shot Show, is gonna pop the Shiva's Guard, won't do that much. Another LSA will land, a couple more right clicks, will get the kill. Again, Shiva's Guard, I'm not really sure if that's gonna be helping you there. I guess it did, it's somewhat up against that Lina, but either way, it's 2 kills for Power Rangers. Although it really should have just been that kill on Doom, since Shaker, there is no situation where you want to be there, especially when you're holding a gem. Like, come on, man, you gotta hold on to that for the team. It's a team item, it's a team game. Dread is he gonna try to TP away Tron? Oof, almost found him. Wouldn't have mattered anyway, but that timing you were describing before, where Phantom Lancer is trying to ship out those kind of more early mid-game items, replace them with real heavy-hitting items, is right now. And we could see Power Rangers, yeah, I mean, they get those 2 kills, but it's completely independent of what this Phantom Lancer is doing. He is at that point, or past that point, very soon, since he has the Manta stock completed, selling the Sange, grabbing, again, Eye of Scotty or Heart, is not too far away from it. Seems like it is going to be a completed, oh, that's actually for the Shadow Fiends, so I don't know what it's going to be just yet, but they're going to try to make this push happen, Power Rangers, knowing that the HellRaisers are lacking their Doom. They'll at least take this tier 2 tower. This Phantom Lancer, though, he's going to kick into full Cancer mode and just start split pushing. Someone's got to deal with him. The landing TPs get canceled. They have Metrum flying overhead right now. She's not going to find anyone. Blink forward, Arctic Burn onto Tron. Jump forward from Afternoon as well. Can do quite a bit of damage from this Luna. The Phantom Lancer's still kicking on top lane. Tron's going to try to TP out of here. Looks like he will get back. They will snag a fissure onto the Clockwork. He puts up the blade mail, but Metrum onto the cogs, bumps himself up to the high ground. She gets a little bit close, and then we'll be able to bring down the Winter Wyvern, or the Clockwork rather, with the Winter Wyvern. End result is top lane tier 3 taken. Dread gonna find Bignum. Not gonna be able to kill him off, but for HellRaisers they get a free kill and they get a free tower, and since everyone is alive on their team, plus they have the Echo Slam, Doom, and Requiem, go for the push.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's the perfect institution right now to be able to try and make this happen. Clockwork does have buybacks. They're going to have that ready for this next fight, and obviously no Aegis is going to mean that they're not going to have as potent as a push as they would otherwise. So I think right now if you're the Clockwork, you buy back and try and take this fight a little bit. There's the jump forward, lift as well. A blast coming on out. Aphonia is going to end up going down. Lina ends up getting the kill there with the Laguna Blade at the end, and now I think they have to disengage from here. And they didn't even need a buyback on the Clockwork. So really, really solid play there, and they're going to be able to chase here for potentially a little bit more as well. Doom trying to run away as quickly as possible, able to steal a spell there, but it's not going to be anything really significant here. He's going to be able to run a little bit quicker with that Scorched Earth. Maybe he's going to be able to turn around, does get doomed in the end, but Bignum not really going to care that much, I don't feel like. Lina's not going to be able to find him, but we do still have Goddamn over here to the side waiting for the counter initiation, and while they're going to be able to push out this lane somewhat significantly, you've still got the PL pushing down in the bot lane here, and I don't think that they really are going to be able to output. Well, maybe they can take the tier 2 tower here with no creep wave. It's a big ask, but maybe they're going to be able to.
Who cares? The tier 2 tower, it's 45 minutes in the game. HellRaisers looking for tier 3s, and with only the clockwork to defend, they need more people here. Dread will pop his BKB actually, playing super safe. Will throw a lance towards Axmo, has the Fusel Blade, although Luna will purge that right off with Eul Scepter. Dread's gonna retreat into an Ice Blast. That's gonna hurt for sure, but he will dodge the hook shot. Everyone HellRaisers has been on point dodging those skills up towards top lane. Tron gonna start on this tier 2. But again, it's just a tier 2. Even forces out a BKB charge. That's 7 seconds. It's very quickly going to get to minimum duration. Goddamn, now looking for AFK. No Blink Echo Slam this time. He still has the gem, so making that play for a second time, probably not worth his time. But for HellRaisers, they don't take any towers. They lose a tier 2, but again, that's kind of okay for them at this stage. This Phantom Lancer is getting really, really fat right now. Has his Heart of Tarask essentially completed, assuming he can get the Courier out there. Level 2 Diffusal Blade as well. He's almost completely 6-slotted, and he can just mess up Luna's day so badly, even though she does have a Satanic. But also, like, in that top lane chase, did you know that Scorched Earth pretty much counts Doom?
That's pretty cool.
It did not occur to me, but that's definitely a thing. It kind of just balances each other out.
You know, I don't think that there are many interactions where you're going to see Scorched Earth going up against Doom. I guess maybe a little bit more than if Doom isn't in the game, but still not something that's very often seen. Metro just going to get destroyed. Lita coming on in for the kill there. And, you know, you mentioned it's not like they really care all that much, but the more and more that these fights end up happening, it's going to be really tough. A is here as well. Backup is here. Dread's in a little bit of trouble now. Needs to be able to make his way away. That's going to be a Lucent Beam up. A lift as well on top of him. That's going to be a BKB charge popped. Now we're going to see J4 caught away, but that's the cogs coming out as well. So Dread getting a little bit low. We do have backup starting to come on in now as well. Doom is here as well as the Earthshaker, ready to potentially make Lena's day an absolute hell, trying to jump in as well. That's, oh god, Tron is going to end up going down here. We knew you well. Satanic is trying to do as much work as it possibly can, but that's going to end up running its course. Oh man, too bad right there. It looked so good, but he's just so freaking tanky with that heart that they can't take him down. They needed to be able to get some, they needed to be able to toss out all their blasts immediately and get the jump on him. Potentially with a Rubik lift at the very start of the fight, followed up by Laguna Blade and everything else. And that's the only way that they take him down, and that was their opportunity to make it happen. But Laguna Blade already being down, Heroes not being there in time, and it looks like they're going to be able to take this tier 3 here.
Cogs go up, they'll try to stall it out. However, now Cheshire Cat's in a little bit of trouble. He'll Force Staff over the fissure. He'll get glimmered out. He should be just fine. That was like a 15-second 1 versus 5 fight, and no hero is really supposed to be able to do that comfortably, but Dread was able to get away with it, even saved his BKB for a lot of duration. Like, he was working with no magic immunity, and I guess, like, to his credit, if you pop the BKB, instantly the real Phantom Lancer gets revealed. If you stay magic vulnerable, then you kind of stay hidden in your illusions, but that was kind of a messy fight from Power Rangers. They couldn't find the real one, and Dread was messing them all up just with his illusions. Like, the real hero wasn't really attacking all that much. It was just the illusions that he was microing towards the Ancient Apparition, towards the Rubik, towards the softer heroes in the back, and he was really messing up their day. And if you look at his build, the only damage items he actually has right now, Manta Style and Diffusal Blade, is pretty good, but for 50 minutes, he's mostly in the bulk department. He's going to get jumped by a double damage Lina, however. Can he doppelgang dodge it? Will it even matter? He's just going to tank everything. He'll get lifted up into the air, but Lina will very quickly realize she doesn't have enough damage. With AFK here, they might have it. Now he tosses the BKB, though. He's going to dodge a Dragon Slave, and well, Ice Blast is going to walk right into that. That should be lethal damage. Just need a couple more right clicks. Cosmic is going to bump him back. They'll finally bring down the Phantom Lancer. This time, the Phantom Lancer just doesn't get away with that 1v5. He gets punished, and he does not have buyback.
It's so freaking solid that they were able to make that kill happen. It's absolutely huge. They're going to be able to slow down his item progression. They're going to be able to maybe push it out. He does have buyback, certainly doesn't want to have to use that, and I don't think he needs to at all. But that gank train, it started here, like right in their own base. They smoked on up with 4 heroes. Lina was already out on the map with the Shadow Blade, and they just prioritized it. And that's exactly what they need to do to be able to come back into this game. It's still going to be a huge ask, and I don't think that it happens quickly. Although that being said, once they do end up winning another team fight and taking out the PL, then it happens quickly. Like in terms of their push, it has to come so soon after they end up being able to win the team fight, because otherwise they're not going to be able to really sustain this type of win. They're not going to be able to win a ton of team fights, but the plus side of having a Luna on your team is that once you take down that tier 3 tower, you're going to be able to take the barracks much quicker because of those glaive bounces. And looking like they're going to want to try and take a Roshan, and with 38 seconds left before PL is going to be here, this is getting a little bit tough for them to be able to take take it, but they've got to make a move at this point. If they lose this Roche here, there's the buyback by the PL. He's going to come on into the area as well. Metrum is here. Do have a Shiva's Guard, still no blink up on the Doom. He did opt to go for Magic Immunity, but now with that buyback, I think that you take that and you just back out at this point.
You force out essentially 2k out from the Phantom Lancer. You slow down whatever is going to be replacing his Sange, most likely. Going to be a Butterfly or something along those lines, and Dread is going to be that much weaker for that much longer. Now if you drop him, you have a door wide open to the enemy base. AFK is going to be in a vulnerable position right now. Don't throw a flare. He's going to get stunned, but that's just an accident. Doppelganger, they're going to see him. He's all alone. Someone brings this Clockwork down, but here comes the ice. They're going to actually hit the curse on the Luna before she gets her Eclipse off. Doom is on her as well, but she's still attacking pretty hard at this stage. They're going to bring down Axmo first. That's Luna down. J4 will get chopped down by the Doom. Tron's still swinging, but with Dread right on top of her, this Luna's going to fall with no Satanic. They'll also kill off the Rubik. Force out 2 buybacks, and HellRaisers take a 3-0 so far. 4-0 actually, I'm sorry. That is a decisive fight, and that's what happens if Luna gets doomed. She did not get doomed that many times in this game, but just that one time she does, and she just gets completely screwed over. She did a little bit of damage still, but we can see there's no chance that she wins a duel versus Dread if she is doomed.
Oh, missing the light strike right up top. It is going to be a Luna Blade coming out afterwards. She's going to have another one up in a second if she wants to try and reinitiate, but it's a really big ask here, and they're going to be able to catch a little bit of extra vision here with the flare, making sure the Luna's going to be able to make her way out of here, and should be fine to get out of here as well. But that's going to be what they need to do. They keep pushing out these lanes, and they're going to be moving on up towards the high ground here. So pretty solid as well, and I think that, honestly, you know, you were able to take on down the Luna right there at the start of the fight. I don't know why they were fighting at that point. Like, they wanted to be able to defend Roche, I get that, but I just felt like they were a little bit too deep to be really contesting and trying to take a fight. Like, the cogs on top of them was a pretty solid start. I think that they got a little bit freaked out because the Earthshaker was able to land that stun and they weren't sure if they had vision or not. So it's kind of a back and forth. It was just a really messy fight at that point for Power Rangers, and you can't afford to do that when your heroes are, by their very nature, a little bit countered. So you need to make sure that you're able to sort of consistently take good fights, because otherwise you're just going to lose.
Because Power Rangers didn't get the jump on Dread, he was able to get just a little bit of prep time in that fight, brew up a couple of illusions, and actually be able to do a significant amount of damage at the same time, keep himself a little bit safer. They're going to slide into the Roche Pit now. HellRaisers grab the Aegis on the Phantom Lancer. Luckily for them, there's no Clockwork in the area this time to jump in and snag, so we Sange out, Aegis in. There's another 2,500 gold. It's probably not enough to buy a super big item, but Moon Shards, Travel is level 2. Either one of those would be looking pretty good right now for Dread. This is going to be a Doom push, or at least an attempted Doom push here from HellRaisers. They have all of their tools. They have the Aegis. I don't really think there's anything worth waiting for. Blink Dagger on Doom is worth purchasing at this point. Like, I'm still very surprised that he doesn't actually have that. But, yeah, it's time to go in. Phantom Lancer's going to tend to the top lane first. If he gets a kill onto this Clockwork, that'll be monstrous. Clock's just going to straight TP out of there. No way for Dread to cancel that, but he has Travels. Maybe if they cancel the Travels from Dread, they'll be able to make something happen, but goddamn's right behind this Phantom Lancer, actually, curiously enough. Not really sure what Shaker's doing up here. It seems like the push is not going to be coming just yet.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure if maybe they're waiting for buyback to be back up on the PL so that way they're able to have that. That's still a good amount of time, and it only leaves them with, I think, 2 minutes to be able to use the Aegis in. So it's kind of a tight window, but again, if they do end up losing the PL and lose the fight decisively, all of a sudden Power Rangers can push on out the other lane. And I think that probably what you're seeing here out of the goddamn is that they ended up running that whole big gank train on top of the PL and was just hoping to see that happen again and then being able to turn that around and they win the game. So certainly is a possibility. It looks like they're opting to play this very, very safe, and that's kind of been the name of the game for them so far. And now that they're sort of realized that no gank is going to come for the PL, they're like, well, we might as well push. So they're going to go on in yet again. We do have the buyback on the Shadow Fiend as well as the Winter Wyvern and the Doom. And they're just going to move right the heck on in here. And Dread is just going to take down the tower immediately. Is going to be able to doppelganger away one more time. Fable comes out as well, lowering down damage ever so slightly, but the PL still has so much bonus damage, it kind of doesn't even matter. There's going to be the AA Blast. Dread is actually falling really low, ends up going down. Now we've also got Tron taking the Doom as well. He does have the Winter's Curse on top of him one more time. Also, that's a really, really solid cogs, though, on top of both Aphonia as well as Salcho. That's going to be maybe taking on out the PL yet again. No, he is just too freaking taky right now. Luna doesn't have buyback. We're going to see the AA fall in just a second here as well. PL is on top of him, and when that ends up happening, it's just complete and total devastation. GG, well played, ends up getting called, and HellRaisers just a little bit too strong with their draft.
Doom on Luna, no buyback. That was even a returned curse from the Rubik, who stole it and dropped it and killed off the Shadow Fiend. But something I wanted to mention, I thought the game was going to last for a little bit longer, so didn't really get much time to do it, was that we were kind of skating over the Shadow Fiend. We're talking a lot about the Phantom Lancer's farm, a lot about the Dooms items, but Shadow Fiend, if you just look at his gold income, he's 8, 5, and 17. He was doing about 50% more damage per swing than the Phantom Lancer. Of course, he doesn't have illusions, but his farm was definitely up there. Like, this is almost a completed 6-slotted Shadow Fiend. Like, what, you ship out Sanjin Yasha for something, you upgrade to Satanic, and then boom, you're done. So the Shadow Fiend was also a heavily prized target there for Power Rangers, and though they did bring him down, can't bring him down twice. They just don't have a double Laguna Blade to do that. So Power Rangers, they needed to get into the enemy base, win the fights off of their burst damage from their nukes, and the sustained fight is up to the Luna, and she cannot win a sustained fight once she's hit with the Doom. So that's going to put HellRaisers at a 1-0 lead. A hell of a long game, but this is what happens when you let Phantom Lancer farm up for that long. He's going to mess up your day. Guys, I'm Mikelorus. I've been joined by Lyrical Gangster. We'll be right back for Game 2 between Power Rangers and HellRaisers. Don't go anywhere.